this is a book with a point to it, and that point is not just what new menace are the superheroes going to fight. It's like, no, this is a thing, and it's about something.
And it's really comics looking at society as a whole and being a reflection of that.
Come on and visit for any occasion. Don't keep patting down waiting. Comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
Welcome, Dal, to Contest of Challengers.
What's that, Patrick?
It is this talky thing we do about stuff with which funny books are exchanged for electronical currencies via an in-building transaction for us to survive and business.
Hard pass.
Oh, okay.
The end. Thanks for listening, everybody.
You know, it's funny you almost come to the end right away because, and we're going to get serious for a minute.
Only for a minute.
We are on the cusp of a new day. And yes, New Day rocks. But tomorrow's date, at the time we're recording this, obviously it'll have passed by the time people listen,
right,
is a very specific date that...
June 15th.
5 years ago...
Rusev Day.
It is Rusev Day. By the way, happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day, Patrick. I'm sorry, this is a wrestling-themed podcast now. I don't know if I sent you that memo. All of our advertisers signed off on it, so you're going to have to go along with it.
I mean, we have to be a wrestling-themed podcast because Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South, or if you read our email, the moth of the South.
So I saw that typo, and I thought, I'm not going to bring that up to Patrick. He doesn't need to know that a thing went out that it says the moth of the South instead of mouth of the South. 2 different people emailed to go, oh, moth of the South. Yes, we saw. Yes.
The joke about that is I had earlier mentioned you as the person who could correct my mistakes, and you said, I don't have to. This person does it. And that person was the first person.
Always catches it. Always catches it.
I didn't see the second one, though.
Oh, it was somebody whose name I didn't recognize, and they made a little joke of, like, I think you meant mouth of the South, but I like moth of the South.
Well, to be clear, we're not sure if we're allowed to legally use the phrase mouth of the South.
I don't know. That's a good question.
So we didn't put it in specifically.
Yep, that's it. That was
exactly
a choice that we made as a store to protect ourselves legally. Thank you. Anyway, we're on the cusp of a new day?
So about 5 years ago, I had said that June 15th, 2018 would be...
A date with otherwise no special significance.
You are a fucker. Dal Bush, you fuck.
I'm coming for you, fuck!
You fuck.
Get your hands off me, you fuck!
When's this thing going out? June 17th, 18th?
I don't know. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
No, I just mean you won't let me get through it.
I'm sorry.
That's why I Naito'd you.
You see what happens, Naito? Huh? You see what happens? You piece of shit!
I see.
I had said that June 15th, 2018, I would get out of comics retail. I was going to retire.
And you have. Much earlier than that.
Not because of, obviously, financial gain or literally having anything better to do. But because that's a date that I had decided that maybe I'm not the person who is going to be able to tell you what's good anymore. Maybe I'm aging out of this medium. And it was...
As Mac McConnell might say, throwing yourself over the side, closing your eyes, making room for someone new.
Sure. And just me, not the store. Obviously not you. You have so much more life left.
Yeah, it's true.
But I figured that it's theoretically harder for me to teach the youngins what is worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be one of those guys, in always guys, in those stores where it's like, you know, someone comes in for a comic that's brand new by someone in their 20s, and you just kind of roll your eyes and go, oh, you should be reading, you know, this comic that I read when I was in my 20s decades ago.
How dare you say that about Carmine Infantino? See, I told you I couldn't talk today.
It's true.
Things like that. And I thought, literally, like Max said, moving away for someone younger. And comics don't stop. There's always new comics. There's always something, I don't want to say hip, but something new, something exciting, something engaging.
A new line of comics got announced from a new publisher today.
Oh, my goodness. And it's an announcement like that makes me just go, there's too many. But, goddamn, if comics aren't better now than they've ever been.
Yeah, man, how many good new titles started up this week?
This week, Nancy Drew.
Nancy Drew was terrific.
By Night.
As good as I'd hoped. By Night, I was hoping that would be good because I've kind of, this is going to sound weird, admired John Allison's comics from afar, while never quite letting them get their hooks in.
You just never connected with it yet.
There's bits and pieces here and there, but I just never really sat down and let it kind of, again, get its hooks in is the best way I can say it.
I didn't even work today, yet I was at the store and I was able to tell someone who had never heard about Jason and get them to buy a Jason book, and they got really excited.
To be clear, the Norwegian cartoonist, not the killer of teenagers.
I don't know that other one. Okay. I just know that Norwegian anthropomorphic one.
Okay.
Also, it's hard for me to find Jason stuff in our store.
Yeah, it's that was not to segue, but or digress, I guess, is more appropriate. The problem with Jason stuff is that it kind of skirts the line between a few different genres.
Yeah.
And a bunch of what he does is anthology stuff, or they were novellas. So for North American publication, they've combined a few different stories into, a few books. And it's hard to say, well, should that stuff be in drama? Because there's stuff that is, darker or more poignant. There's goofier, surreal stuff that might end up in the humor section. And then there's stuff that's just flat out like, this is a Hitchcock thriller, this should go in crime mystery. So he's definitely one of those creators where it's hard to just say everything should just go in drama.
Yeah, so I looked in drama first, and all I could really find was On the Camino, which is not what I want to start somebody with for Jason.
No.
Then I'm like, I'll go to crime mystery. I couldn't find anything.
Crime mystery should have had I Killed Adolf Hitler, I think.
Okay. I was just looking for the hardbacks.
Okay.
Because those jump out easier.
Sure.
And then I went over to comedy and got Low Moon.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great way to start.
Sure.
Low Moon's a perfect...
Yeah, I think in the humor section we should have Low Moon. We should probably have Last Musketeer, I think.
Yeah.
A couple other ones scattered in there. Yeah,
Where's Lost Cat?
Lost Cat would probably be in... If it's still in print, which... question mark.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, we may not have a bunch of these, which is why I couldn't find them.
Yeah. Lost Cat, I want to say, would probably be in crime mystery.
Okay.
But hard to remember.
But my point is, I'm not going anywhere. Comics are too good.
Comics are great.
Comics are too good right now. There was somebody
Comics are dumb, and they're great.
Wednesday who took every suggestion I gave.
Yeah, you did a good job with that.
But I mean, that's easy because they've never heard of any of these things. Yeah. It's somebody who's read all those things that makes it a little bit more challenging,
Yeah.
No pun intended. But jumping back, I did want to talk about Nancy Drew and By Night.
Okie doke.
So good. Both of them so good.
Yeah.
Nancy Drew, it's... You know who Nancy Drew is. She's the teenage detective from Bayport who solved crimes and had 100 novels written by Kathleen Keene, he said in quotes, because that's his pen name.
Sure.
Just like Franklin W. Dixon for the Hardy Boys. I grew up on the Hardy Boys, and we literally have a long box of hardcover Hardy Boy books in the back of the store because I wanted to pass them on to my nephew who did not want them. And while I have no use for them anymore, I don't know what to do with them.
Yeah, so if anyone listening to this wants a few.
Sure.
We were having one of the parties that we'd had recently, I can't remember for what, but someone was coming back from the washroom and they looked down and they went, are these books for anybody? I'm like, oh, no, we're actually looking to give those away if you want them. Like, it's a bunch of Hardy Boys books. If they were Nancy Drew, I would have taken them. Like, well, if they were Nancy Drew, they probably wouldn't be here anymore.
Well.
But they're Hardy Boys books.
How dare you. The Hardy Boy books outsold Nancy Drew by a significant margin in the bookstores.
Yeah, but the Hardy Boys comic books were not able to get talent on the level of Kelly Thompson, Jen St. Ong.
How much for the cat carrier? It's free. No thanks. You'll get that joke later.
Okay.
You'll get that joke some other day.
Okay.
Made me laugh out loud, though. Nancy Drew, holy cats. It was just well, it's Kelly Thompson, like Dal had just said. Mm-hmm. And I was afraid it was just going to be Kate Bishop light. Totally not.
Yeah.
A very different personality.
There's kind of a set, like, if you like the Hawkeye stuff, you would like this, because it is, if you take away a lot of the specific elements of the characters, it is like a younger female detective with a group of people who are helping her out, trying to get to the bottom of a mystery. Like, Hawkeye borrowed a ton from the idea of Nancy Drew, and so now this is kind of feeding it back in. But Nancy Drew and Katie Bishop are two completely different characters, for sure. It is not the same sort of thing.
But written so differently that you're never confused. Like, oh, it's Katie Bishop light. It's not. And I didn't really know the artist before, but
she was supposed to end up doing some Gem comics, but I think that ended up not happening for whatever reason.
Okay, I think she fits it great.
Yeah, I like her style a lot. It's very fun.
It's a lot happens in the first issue. There's a bunch of characters.
Everybody gets their powers, so it's great. Like, oh wait, no.
And then By Night, which was also almost under the radar. I mean, because John Allison has done a lot of very specific niche type of comedy / mystery / college.
Yeah, he's been doing the university comedy book writing, the Giant Days series with a few different artists, and he'd written and drawn
Bad Machinery.
Yeah, which was like a high school goofy mystery book, and then previously he'd done other creator-owned stuff like decades ago. I remember selling John Allison comics from, God, was it Antarctic maybe? Something.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, back in the 90s, early 2000s, so even before Bad Machinery was a thing. So yeah, By Night, definitely if you've liked either of his other two more recent hits like Bad Machinery and Giant Days, you would like By Night. It's a weirder supernatural mystery book, but with a great sense of humor about it.
And if you've never heard of him before, or have never read his books, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect to start with.
This is while it's in the Scary Go Round universe, it's completely separate geographically, so you don't have to worry about needing to have read the other two books to understand what's going on.
And Scary Go Round is the name for his other books.
Correct. Yeah, that's his universe imprint, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad Machinery and Giant Days both take place in the UK, and some of the characters are related, so they can have like a Bad Machinery character show up in Giant Days for an issue. But something like this, By Night takes place in the US, so they're not really bound to run into
anybody else.
UK university students. Like, that's probably not going to happen.
The interesting comparison for both these books is that while Nancy Drew is from Dynamite and By Night is from Boom Studios, they both had 4 or so covers that we went deep on.
Yeah, By Night
getting all of them.
Had a main cover,
a John Allison cover.
Yeah, the main cover is by the interior artist, and then a John Allison variant, and then a Guru Hero Final Order Cutoff variant that we took part in because it's Guru Hero, and you can't make me not order Guru Hero covers when they're available.
And what were they just announced as doing coming up?
Wasp.
The Unbeatable Wasp.
Unstoppable Wasp.
Unstoppable Wasp, whichever. Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, which is right in front of me. I should have known the difference. Yeah, they just announced the Wasp book is coming back and Iceman is coming back. Yeah,
strangely, both of those books by their original writers and seeming very much in the same vein, which makes me wonder, why are you bringing them back? Like, yeah. I'm glad to get a new Guru Hero book, but I admit I was a little disappointed, and I'm like, oh man, it's the Wasp. Like, I thought the Wasp last series, beautifully illustrated. Elsa Chartier did the art.
That's correct.
It looks so good, but the story, I don't like Jeremy Whitley's superhero stuff a lot. I find it kind of not... He's like a Brendan Fletcher, where like the ideas might be good, but the execution always leaves me a little cold. It never quite works for me. So the Wasp book, alright, I don't... As a retailer, I don't see this one having any more longevity than the last series did.
Yeah.
And it again, just makes me wonder, like, if you're not really going to tweak anything, like Guru Hero from Elsa Chartier, as much as I love Guru Hero, and they're definitely in my top 3 currently working artists, for most people, I feel like artistically it's a lateral move. Like, the book more or less looks the same. I can't see it being a huge plus for people who didn't like the art on the previous series. And if the writing's going to be the same, and the story largely seems like it's following on from where it was left at the end of the previous volume, why would this perform any differently? If anything, it's going to be down from the previous one because you've probably lost the people who were reading it before who aren't going to know a new series is coming out. Right?
Yeah. And then if you look at Iceman, same writer and Cena Grace, but a brand new artist, and while I don't really know his work, the sketches they showed us are underwhelming.
Yeah, and it's not, again, the art's going to be at best a lateral move. It's not a huge new artist with a huge different style. Both of these books coming back just feel like, why? What? Why?
Another why announcement from today was the Silver Surfer annual #1.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Which is written by the guy who's writing Old Man Hawkeye.
Okay.
And drawn by someone I didn't recognize. But it's the secret history of the Silver Surfer.
Ethan somebody?
And it's something I don't feel we need. And what I think is the biggest misstep is it has the current Silver Surfer logo on the cover.
Uh-huh.
You know, the wacky...
the already logo?
Yeah,
oh.
Which I think denotes a very specific type of story.
Yeah.
And this is just based off of what's happening in Infinity Countdown and whatnot.
Well, maybe it will have a different logo when it finally ships.
I mean, that was the one in the email, so who knows?
Well, they could have just mocked up a cover.
And whoever did the cover...
That book's coming out in September,
pointed the board. The board points and not rounds. Not like sharp point, but...
Not a fan.
Yeah. It wasn't... I don't know. I don't think we need the secret history of the Silver Surfer. If you want to do Silver Surfer, you do what they were just doing, move stories forward.
Yeah, it's a weird group of characters. The Wasp I can sort of understand, because there's the Ant-Man and Wasp movie coming out in July.
Yeah, but that's why she's got that miniseries right now.
Right. Well, technically 2 different series, because there was the Living Legends thing that was like more all ages based, and then there's the Ant-Man and Wasp series that Mark Waid's writing now that's 5 issues, which will run through the point that the Unstoppable Wasp is coming back. And if you're going to launch this series because of the Wasp character in the movies, September feels like a weird time to do it, because July is when the movie is coming out, and the home video release wouldn't be until October, November, probably?
Yeah.
So, what? Yeah, very confusing to me. But at least Wasp, again, is a character that's in, a huge movie release that's coming out this summer. What is Iceman in that you need to do a new Iceman series?
Yeah,
why Silver Surfer?
It is a completely different Wasp, though.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, it's not in any way the version that's going to be in the movie, which, again, why...
And the Silver Surfer is just an annual.
But, again, why?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Why?
What currently is happening in publishing or media that makes the Silver Surfer annual a reasonable expectation for the market, other than, I don't know, we'll give it a shot.
And it's so vastly different, it's not like we're going to ask previous Silver Surfer subscribers if they want this one, because it's...
No, for sure.
It's night and day.
Most of them are buying it for All Red anyway. Yeah. He's not drawing it. They don't care. Yeah, we crap about this occasionally, and I know that there's fans out there who are going to eat this stuff up. There's just not a lot of them, and so much of this stuff doesn't feel like it's got a plan behind it. Like, that's what I want to see from a publisher the size of Marvel, is a plan. Why is this stuff coming out? Why this character? Why are you bringing them back? Why do they need a project like this right now when they might be better off waiting for a better creative team, a better time in the schedule, a better media tie-in, a better creative team, something?
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't get it.
Do not get it.
And still the number of daily emails I get from Marvel with this new variant cover, and this new variant cover, and this new variant cover. I'm so tired of it.
Sure, I don't blame you.
I
don't see any of those, which is great.
Is a weird counterpoint to the comics are great and I love being in it, except this part.
Yeah,
and this part.
Comics are great.
And these people.
But the business of comics is occasionally not great. Yeah, most of these things that I'm complaining about from Marvel, it's not specifically that I feel like the books shouldn't exist. I don't. I have nothing against anyone who is excited about any of these books because they're a fan. But business reasons... Again, as a retailer, I'm looking at this stuff going, this stuff is just going to sink again. Why would you not give it a fighting chance?
Yeah. Yep. Uh-huh. This was an interesting week of each of us getting to see what type of customer interactions push the buttons of the other. And granted, we know this already because we've done this with each other for so long.
Sure.
but there were such wonderfully specific examples for both of us this week, and like even as it was called attention to, like, see this is the kind of thing that drives me insane. And then right after we do it, it happens again, but to the other one.
Yeah. Occasionally, like with me, there's a few people who come in regularly that Patrick just does not want to interact with. They just, the requests bother him, the questioning might bother him, and it's stuff that just, for whatever reason, doesn't affect me. So I'm happy to engage with those people and try and give them a level of service that we would try and give to everyone who comes into the store.
To just jump in for a second, and it's a situation where questions are either obvious or the same type of question asked every single week, so answering it doesn't ever feel like there's any type of learning involved. Like, I don't know, I don't want to say teach a man to fish kind of thing.
Sure.
But there's an obviousness that just bothers me, or when someone...
A prime example, like the one thing I can think of, and it's not a specific customer, it's a thing that I know bugs you so much. And I hesitate to say this because it means someone's going to do it as a joke. And let me stop you right there. It's not going to be as funny as you think it is. It's someone's asking where, like, the Batman comic is on the shelf. Where are the Batman comics? And you'll go, they're on the new comic wall under B. And everything's alphabetical, and everything's got a sign on it that says where the letters are. And you'll just watch someone kind of hover around it and bypass it and go like 6 shelves down. And you don't want to have to go over there to an adult and lead them over and point to where the B's are.
Yeah.
So when that happens, you're just like...
Or when they don't even try.
Yeah.
And good customer service is leading them to the shelf and showing them where it is. But I think that I feel like as an adult, there are certain things you should just be able to get.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me being cranky for doing this for almost 28 years now.
But as a devil's advocate for you, like, it's not that these people are helpless, it's that they won't bother to help themselves.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that they completely don't understand the alphabet and have no idea what the English alphabet looks like and how to decipher it. It's that they've given up on even trying. You're there to help them. I'm not going to use my eyeballs to look at letters. Why should I? Show me where it is. Yeah. Get up, show me where it is.
And to counterpoint, one of the things for Dal is when people ask for something that doesn't exist, and then when you politely explain to them that it doesn't exist and perhaps why it doesn't exist, they get mad at you that it doesn't exist because it's the thing they want.
Yeah. Like a subset of that is just, we've got all these books, all of these things, and you're going to get mad at me because we don't have, like, Supernatural comics anymore. When there hasn't been a Supernatural comic in, like, 8 years. Or you want Batgirl comics, but they've got to be younger reader Batgirl comics. But they have to be younger reader Batgirl comics in a $3 comic book format. And it's like, they don't make those. I can't make that happen. I can sell you $3 Batgirl comics, and I can sell you Batgirl comics for younger readers, but I can't sell you $3 Batgirl comics for younger readers. That
it doesn't exist.
I take it up with DC.
And then we don't need you to get snotty because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't need I guess I'm all set. If you had what I was looking for, and it's like,
one of the things that
right now, just
really works well for us when we work together is that usually the things that bother one of us don't bother the other. So it's easier for the other person to step in and finish the transaction.
Sure.
And you had said before, there's people I just want nothing to do with. I mean, I have no problem helping those people.
You would never ignore them entirely.
Right.
But you would definitely, like, the answers would be shorter, and there would be less of there would be a curtness to it that maybe they would miss, but I would not.
Like, it's a well-known fact that if I'm not having a good interaction with someone, they probably know it, but if Dal's not having a good interaction with someone, they can't tell. Because you're better at hiding that.
I guess.
And, I do...
Maybe in 10 years I won't be.
I was going to say, maybe it's an age thing. But, I mean, to be fair, you've been doing this almost as long as I have.
I guess.
But, yeah, I don't know. It's a thing.
Yeah, but it was so weird because I think you had, the day before, or maybe even that day, you'd mentioned to someone specifically that like, that stuff doesn't bother me as much, so I had to make sure that when it was happening, I'm like,
Yeah.
this right now is completely doing it for me. Like, I can't deal with this anymore.
Oh man, retail never slows down. But hey, then they put out like really interesting books.
Yeah.
Like this quick and easy guide to they them pronouns from Oni Press, from their Limerence line.
Yeah, their educational line.
Their gender studies section of their Limerence line. From Archie Bongiovanni and Tristan Jimerson, and I think it's a great book that we have a ton of because we liked it.
Yeah, we'll keep it in stock for quite a while.
It's just it's a little $8 handbook.
Yeah, and it's great. It's Archie, who is genderqueer.
Archie, a snarky genderqueer artist, is tired of people not understanding gender-neutral pronouns. Tristan, a cisgender dude, is looking for an easy way to introduce gender-neutral pronouns to his increasingly diverse workplace. And there's more. I'm just not going to read it.
Yeah,
also, I don't have my glasses on.
It's a fun, well-illustrated guide to understanding basically how to approach gender in conversation in 2018.
Now, one might be asking, why would someone choose to use gender-neutral pronouns? There are a huge list of reasons, but the truth is, it doesn't stinking matter. Fun.
I mean, I haven't read the whole book yet. It's a short read, but I was paging through it on Tuesday when it came in. But I think it's an interesting book, and it's a useful book because a lot of people do want to learn this stuff and do want to understand other viewpoints. And yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, having to take into account someone's feelings about gender pronouns, they even address it in the book a little bit. Like, it may seem cumbersome, but the whole idea is, if it's going to hurt someone's feelings to do it wrong, why not take the time to do it right?
Yeah.
I mean, why? What? Unless you're saying, I'm okay hurting someone else's feelings. Why? Why are you okay with that?
Dal, because this is a wrestling podcast, there was...
Now and forever.
There was somebody who posted, either on Twitter or on Instagram, basically they saw Bootios being sold in like a Walmart.
Okay.
Bootios breakfast cereal from the WWE New Day.
Yeah. Does New Day suck or do they rock? I can't remember.
New Day rocks, as said earlier in this podcast.
Yeah, but I'd forgotten.
But
so
Bootios, make sure you ain't booty. Well, somebody had posted a photo of it and had this huge rant about how now they're making cereal gay and wrestling is gay, and I can't believe these black people are promoting gayness with their the colors they wear and their unicorn horns. And he didn't ever swear, but he used derogatory remarks.
I mean,
and it was somebody pointed out to Xavier Woods from the New Day. I mean, it was full of grammatical errors, but you know, the normal, fine. Yeah. And all Xavier said was, "Let's say it's true. Who cares?"
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that it's promoting homosexuality any more than it's promoting heterosexuality. But again, even if it was, okay.
What's wrong with being gay?
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. He's just like, pretend it's true. Who cares?
Yeah.
What happened to love thy neighbor kind of thing?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. All right, Dal, so I got a couple of quick topics on the industry section of the
wrestling podcast.
What's
Vince up to this week?
Whiteboard. But I did promise you a bigger theme, a bigger topic.
You had a big old bombshell question.
Well, it's not a bombshell question, and it's not a question. It is a harsh reality.
Uh-oh.
And after our diamond discussion from last week, we actually had some pretty thoughtful responses from people writing in.
Cool.
And I didn't ask either of them if we could read them on the air, so we're not.
Okay.
But one of the
I
points...
haven't read them off the air.
You haven't. One of the points that was brought up was, what about the impending UPS strike?
Oh, I don't think I heard about this.
There's definitely an impending UPS strike. I've been seeing things about it, but I'll be honest, now that Facebook took away their trending news section, that's where I got a lot of my news, and I'm very disappointed it's gone and nothing has replaced
I'm not
it.
learning nearly as much about what's going on in Moscow as I used to.
Right? So, if you recall, back in the mid to late 90s, there was a UPS strike.
I don't remember that.
And it wasn't as much affecting to the comics industry, to our jobs back then, because we didn't use UPS that much. We picked things up from distributors and whatnot.
No, that's right.
But you and I specifically get half of our weekly shipment via UPS.
Yeah.
And the majority of the stores around the country use UPS.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but as far as the half of our weekly shipment, we could change things so that didn't happen.
We could.
That half, like folding the reorder section that we get from UPS into our weekly order.
It would make Tuesdays harder for me, certainly.
It would make sure we get the stuff at least.
Yeah. But that's just us. The rest of the industry would be greatly affected because of how it works. And I can't tell you why they're striking, what it's for, but it was pointed out that the last time this happened, Diamond had contingency plans all set to go.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But it was also pointed out this time is you might want to check. You might want to ask them specifically, what are you doing in case this happens?
Okay. I mean, we can't ask anyone in particular because we don't have a Diamond rep anymore.
Right. But I mean, they wouldn't know either.
Yeah, of course. They would ask somebody above them and then we'd never hear anything. I'm not super worried about something like that. I mean, could it have an impact? Sure. I mean, it could definitely have an impact. I don't think it would have a seismic, the industry's going to shudder and collapse sort of impact. But maybe.
Oh, I wonder, though, if stores can't get their books for a week or two as it works out.
Thing. I don't think that would happen. I don't think there would ever be a situation where things would just be piling up at local warehouses, and it's like, I don't know.
Everybody use FedEx.
Yeah, I don't know what the solution would be because I'm not in logistics, but someone somewhere has, a plan in case UPS strikes for more than 2 days or whatever.
And the reason I had to narrow your expectations on that topic is because I did not do my research ahead of time.
Oops.
So I could not regale you with specifics.
Statistics and figures?
Yeah, it's been a busy week, though. I mean, there's been a lot happening.
Tell me about it.
And,
no, tell me about it.
Okay, well, no, my God, I almost did. I almost said something not inappropriate, just not
topical.
Not topical for a wrestling themed podcast
comics,
like ours.
Business or wrestling.
Yeah. And my car broke down, kind of.
Well, it was in a state that it was running. It just wasn't running
to its optimum capacity.
Reliably, I guess is what I'd say. Like it started and stopped, but there were noises that were maybe getting worse.
Yeah,
it needed repairs.
And the fun part about it was, specifically, I couldn't understand how one problem could make these two specific noises. And it wasn't. It was two separate problems. Two completely unrelated problems.
Take that, Dr.
Well,
House.
not unrelated, but definitely in the same area. Mm-hmm. But on the plus side, I got a new battery for my iPhone, so it's not going to drain as much as it was. The technician had said
it's at 76%, and that's after
a
long day.
When I got the new battery, it was not fully charged.
Okay.
So it really hasn't charged.
Cool, man.
But he'd said that the other battery was swollen, and that means that the battery's dying.
Oof.
Like, they as they puff up or...
They plump when you cook them.
Yeah, exactly. It was an overcooked battery. All right, so pulling off the whiteboard, which I can barely read.
Which I can't even see that part of it, so this is all going to be like a shock to me.
The first quick topic is a follow-up from the GameStop story of last week, where, first of all, it was absolutely confirmed because it was always technically rumor but never officially announced.
Yeah, in that it was like a screen cap of like a point-of-sale system inventory thing, so you couldn't 100% say it was true. It could be photoshopped or faked, but it was like, no, this seems possible.
And it is a pilot program with 20 GameStop stores and 20 ThinkGeek stores, so a total of 40 stores that'll be trying comics, and actually probably this week or already, something like that.
Yeah, the dates that I think had been on that photo were June 15th.
Yeah.
So by the time you're listening to this podcast, it should already be in effect at those pilot
that
stores.
date that lives in infamy.
Yes.
June 15th, 2018.
When the Gotti movie came out.
No, when the new Lizzie Borden CD came out, which, for the record, is the first Lizzie Borden CD released for the entire duration of Challengers being a store.
Finally.
My Midnight Things, Lizzie Borden. You'll be hearing it a lot in the store, in the car.
If you had held to your resolution, there would not be a Lizzie Borden album during your tenure at Challengers.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I got it in the mail today.
Okay. Well,
so its official release date is tomorrow.
It would have been on your last day.
Yeah.
Your last day.
I would have had it. I would have gotten it.
Your perfect record blemished, just like that movie that we saw, Incredibles 2.
I didn't see that one.
I know, me neither.
We saw Tag, and it was excellent.
It was excellent. Very
really funny, really smart.
Yeah.
It looks just like a wacky screwball comedy It is, but it's better than that.
Yeah, if you want to see Game Night earlier this year, it's I would say it's sort of in that that realm. It's a very funny, super vulgar adult comedy.
Really funny, though. Gosh, I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. It delivered.
Ultimate Comics. Ultimate Comics, not Marvel's Ultimate Comics, but Ultimate Comics, the 3-store chain in, I forget.
The Carolinas, is it?
Vegas, Arizona, the Carolinas. Tal's going to look it up, so now I have to stall for that.
You know how difficult it's going to be to find Ultimate Comics by searching for it?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. They have 3 locations, and in one night, all 3 stores were robbed. As in, smash through the glass door, come in, and it seems like it was a very thought-out plan because very specific merchandise was stolen, and it's not like they were ransacked and people just started pulling things. They have a lot of labeled back
Carolina.
issues. Yeah, that's what you said, right?
Yeah, I said the Carolinas. I didn't know specifically where.
That's one of them.
They serve the Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh area, which I believe is the
Chapel Hill?
The Triangle.
Oh, the Chapel Hill area. I wonder if the aforementioned Mac McCon gets his comics there.
I doubt it. I doubt he gets comics, and I don't... Yeah.
You'd be surprised.
I would be. I'd be super happy to hear it if it were true.
3 stores in one night. A very calculated plan. It's you don't see that kind of precision in the comic store robbing. Usually it's just people taking money out of the register or
just grabbing a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards or whatever.
Yeah.
They just grab a bunch of board books.
Yeah, but like this, you could see the board books were chosen, like this one, and then there's a gap there, then 3 more books and a gap there.
Yeah.
And they left behind some good stuff too.
Yeah, and just the fact that they had multiple stores in one night is,
Yeah, right. Like, I wonder what kind of alarm system or notification or how it goes.
I don't know.
Speaking of 3-store chains, the Dragon opened their 3rd store this week.
Cool.
The Dragon in Guelph. Guelph.
I believe it's pronounced Gulip.
Gulip, Ontario.
Gulip, Canada.
So congratulations to them. I'm jumping around on my list, and this is a very quick thing to go by, but we all know that Marvel Comics has the rights and the licenses to Conan the Barbarian back. Well,
yeah, there was a big announcement about it some months ago.
Yeah.
Was it last San Diego? Or
It might have been.
It was a long time ago, and they'd had just one random image, and they're like, we got the rights back. Bye.
Well, because it's Marvel and they can't do a thing without overdoing it, they're going to have 3 ongoing Conan books.
Are we certain
in next month?
Dynamite doesn't have the rights back? That sounds like a very Dynamite move.
Very much so. Very much so. But the main thing, the main thing was the UPS thing, but the thing at the top of the board was right after we had talked about Diane Nelson leaving.
Not coming back from her leave of absence.
Yeah. There have been more shakeups.
Mm-hmm.
Geoff Johns is out as
Chief Creative Officer.
CCO.
Formerly the Chief Creative Officer for DC Entertainment. He is now moving into a producing role with his own production house, Mad Ghost, where he will be responsible for writing and producing programs, TV shows and movies and streaming shows and what have you.
DC characters for the most part.
As well as writing more comic books for DC, both for DC Universe proper and with his own pop-up imprint, much like Bendis's books and Gerard Way's Young Animal. Geoff Johns will have a pop-up imprint currently called The Killing Zone, which I gotta think that's going to change.
I hope it's going to change.
It's a terrible, terrible name.
Not a big fan.
But that will include the 3 Jokers project that he's, I think, already sort of announced with Jason Fabok.
Which, I mean, I can't... You're containing your excitement very well.
I'm excited that I will not... I say I won't have to read it, but I feel like I probably will.
You don't have to, but you'll choose to because you're a professional.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not that professional.
Not with Jason Fabok's concerned.
But that's the 3 Jokers project that'll be continuing on the plot line from the end of Geoff Johns' Justice League run, where we found out that there's not 1 Joker in the DC Universe, there are 3.
3!
Also, there's going to be a Shazam book, and I don't think there was really anything else firmly announced, but clearly they have other things that they will want him to do. And since it's a pop-up imprint, he will also be maybe creating some concepts or co-writing some things or picking projects for other people to do that will... It's a weird 2-part thing. I mean, there's a lot in there, but I think the core thing is that he got demoted, basically. No one says it in any of the press releases and stuff, but when you're the chief creative officer and then you kind of move into now I'm doing freelancey kind of stuff and I'm writing and producing, like, they try to portray it as his first love was always comics. Yeah, then why is he still doing the writing and producing? Do you know what I mean? Like, that seems like stuff you could have done as more of a top level executive, as the chief creative officer, that now you're kind of pitching a little bit more. To put it in comics terms, it's like you were the co-editor-in-chief, now you're going to be just writing freelance. Like, okay, sure, that you could do more projects than you were doing as an editor-in-chief, but in one, you're a decision-making executive. Now you're at working at the behest of other people.
And having Jim Lee be the take over that role,
yeah,
it seems like he already has enough to do with barely drawn comics and being
the
co-publisher.
Cover, and the co-publisher is his main gig.
I feel like he's in this role as somebody who's not going to make waves.
It definitely felt that way to me. I'm super speculating here, and I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah, this may have been his dream job all along,
yeah.
And he finally got it. He can't wait to leave his mark.
Yeah, however, it feels like some of it is there's new people in charge of DC Films, and they don't necessarily want the same decision-making structure as they had before. You know, maybe this is a thing where a Jim Lee is going to be more, I'm a resource for you to use if you need me, rather than let me roll up my sleeves and get involved in these projects to make sure they're better, to make sure that they're true to the characters.
And last week we'd mentioned how we would expect that they would have a replacement already lined up when they make the announcement, like they did for this.
Yeah, here's the thing that I guess we had both forgotten about, because we don't 100% follow entertainment news
and corporate structure
outside of comic books. Just today, on June 14th, AT&T has officially bought Time Warner and all of its assets, including DC Comics and DC Entertainment and Warner Brothers Films and all that. And I gotta assume that people who just paid, tens of billions of dollars for those properties and businesses probably going to want to have a say in who's running them. Probably. So I feel like if an executive at the level of Diane Nelson is not returning to her role a week before the sale goes through, just wait the week.
Yeah.
No sense giving someone that job and then having the new owners come in and go, no, not them. I assume a lot of divisions of that conglomerate are going to have people in boardrooms looking at binders and looking at graphs and looking at PowerPoints and making a lot of decisions in the coming weeks.
Obviously, DC Entertainment, it's a huge part of it, but for the DC Comics publishing arm, I don't foresee a lot of changes. There can be. I imagine that the people that have these jobs at DC are living in a perpetual state of, I don't know what's happening with my position kind of thing.
While it's easy for us to say, like, I wouldn't worry too much about it, yeah, they may feel differently. If I were them, I'd probably worry. I would have some concerns about the longevity of my position and the health of my branch of the company.
I mean, I think this is one of the biggest things that could have the most impact or not.
Sure.
I mean, it has the potential to possibly change everything about what DC publishes, how they publish it, all of it.
When Disney bought Marvel, there was a lot of concerns about, Marvel publishing going away. DC would just license out the characters, and that could still happen at some point in the future, but in the short term, which means the last 6 years, nothing changed really as far as how, for comics retail and for comics fans, how Marvel did its job and what Marvel pursued as comics projects didn't seem to change a lick.
No.
The same person who was running it before Disney bought Marvel was the same person responsible for that part of the company after Disney bought Marvel. Still is today, I think. So, yeah, DC comic books may not 100% be on AT&T's radar. They're a profitable division, I think. They're not a huge division, which means they probably don't need as much oversight. They're one of those little sections that plugs along and does its job and probably isn't embarrassing its owners too much, so you may not have someone coming in saying, like, let's fix this.
Yeah.
However, maybe somebody does. Maybe someone's like, this is all you're doing with the publishing rights to Batman, to Superman, to the Justice League, to Wonder Woman. Like, this is it. Sometimes those people want to see a bigger return on even a small investment. So I don't know.
And Comcast has put in a large offer for Fox, right? Is that...
Yeah, for a lot of the Fox assets.
Yeah.
I think it basically doesn't include Fox News, Fox Sports, and something else, some other TV channel or something. But it includes like all of their media rights and TV shows and movies and whatever they have the rights to, which I guess would currently include the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, all of that stuff.
Interesting times.
Yeah.
It's weird how corporations just keep gobbling everything up.
They do.
Yet nobody's made an offer on us.
Well, I don't...
We're for sale.
What would people be able to turn into a movie from Challengers?
I don't know. I'm not a corporate guy.
The I Love You But I've Chosen Comics t-shirt?
I don't. It could be anything.
Comics fists?
I was talking to a... No, I own those. I was talking
but
to
they would then. That's the point.
Well, laser surgery for me. Or I would just change it. I would flip it like Mike Love and I were looking at making it ICS.com. Okay. That's what my hand said.
There you go.
Yeah, I just cut those fists and put them on the opposite way.
Well, I mean,
thumbs out, everybody. Thumbs out.
If people pay enough for Challengers, maybe you could afford to do that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Look, we've always said, we're for sale.
I got flipping my fists money.
We'll do it. Yeah, I was just talking with a friend earlier today, and he had mentioned an idea of like a thing that we said we were going to do a couple years ago and we just never got around to, and then he like kept pulling it into this bigger and bigger thing, and now he wants to make it a capital T thing, a thing that we do, and he's looking for a way to monetize it, and I think it would be fun, but I don't think we're the people to do it.
Okay.
I know it's very vague.
You sold me on it.
I know, right? Well, it would also mean a little bit more time out of the store for me as I travel the country doing this. So who knows? And that's the thing I brought up right away. I said I don't have the time for this. He's like, yeah, but it's still possible.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I had extra time off the last week and this upcoming week. So
yeah,
I mean, tomorrow, not this upcoming week, and I like it. And then there's that week in August we're both going to be gone.
Oh.
But that's going to be so much more work on our end than had we stayed behind to work the store.
I wouldn't have been staying behind to work the store. I'd be in Kansas City at TF Expo.
Is it the same weekend?
Same weekend.
Would you really have gone there?
Maybe. They used to be in the west end of... Like, they were in the west end of Kansas, like Wichita or something. So I would never go. But this year they moved to a bigger facility in Kansas City. I probably wouldn't go. It's still like an 8-hour drive, and it's not worth it to fly out to.
Okay. I mean, we can make that work.
No, I'm not going to do it.
Okay, but I'm just saying we could.
I understand.
If you wanted to.
I almost didn't want to mention it because I didn't want it to be a thing of like, let's try and do it. Like, no, let's not.
Oh, no, I'd only try and do it if you wanted to do it. If you say no, you say no.
I said no.
That's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, there was a point where like it had been... I'd seen an announcement for it or something, and I'm like, wow, Kansas City, that's not that far. Like, let's check it out. And then I went, oh, it's the first weekend in August. Nope.
Oops.
Nope. Busy.
Well, even though I'll be gone that Wednesday, the Wednesday I get back, well, not the Wednesday I get back, but the next Wednesday that I'm back is our all-day Zach Lehner Junior Braves of the Apocalypse Book 2 Out of the Woods signing, where he will be in the store for the whole 8 hours of that day.
Whole day.
Until he gets bored and leaves and realizes that like 2 o'clock on a Wednesday is really not the prime signing area, but maybe he'll be working on book 3.
Take a lunch break.
Yeah, have him go get us lunch. Good idea. That works for everything. But we did mention earlier in the episode that we will have the Mouth of the South or the Moth of the South. Yeah, I know it was Moth of the South. I just wanted to change it. WWE alumni legend Jimmy Hart will be at Challengers next Saturday, June 23rd. Thanks to the kind people at Wrestle League, which is a wrestling school in the city of Chicago. He'll be in the store for an hour only from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you can come meet Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, meet and greet him.
Yeah, and he will greet and meet you as well. And I think he'll have a whole slew of merch and things like that.
I assume there'll be some ways you can commemorate your meeting and greeting of Jimmy Hart.
I imagine there'll be a megaphone involved or some sort of loudspeaker, some sort of, voice amplification device in use. And gosh, I wonder what his suit's going to look like that day. You'll have to show up to find out.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that just got added this week. Again, thanks to Wrestle League for making that happen. And it's just one more reason that we are, in fact, a wrestling podcast. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. A wrestling podcast seem to have a lot of subscribers, yes, listeners, yes, but also advertisers.
They do. I mean, there's definitely a huge market.
Yeah. Yeah. But, we have an increasing number of Patreon patrons, and while we've already done the thank you pledge level for this month, since then we've had someone new, so thank you, Ryan Alcock, for being a Patreon patron of Contest of Challengers.
Thanks, Ryan.
And you, listener, can be one as well if you just go to patreon.com/challengers, and if you value this talky thing we do on a weekly basis, you could monetarily show that if you so desire. Or you could also, write a review on iTunes, or subscribe to it regularly, or rate it, or post about it, or do all that kind of stuff. That would be appreciated, so thanks.
Thanks.
That's very kind of you. And we, of course, still have our Correspondence Club coming up next Thursday, June 21st. This will be the last time we get to talk about it before it happens, but we'll be able to talk about it after it happens. As to how it happened.
That's how cause and effect works.
And our midnight release for July 4th is actually turning into a much bigger deal because more and more publishers are on board. It's not just DC Comics. It's not just Marvel Comics. It's Boom Studios. It's Dark Horse. It's others.
Image.
Is
IDW.
It Image? Okay, good. I knew it was IDW. I didn't remember if it was Image or not.
Image, yeah.
I'm wondering why they don't just say, okay, it's everybody. Because at this point, it's only not like Vault, Black Mask, Aftershock. Yeah.
Who I'm sure basically would all be okay with it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say we're going to be putting everything out, but maybe don't worry about certain books not being on sale at midnight on July 3rd.
Well, it'll just change records and things, right? Or we have to...
No, shouldn't matter.
Okay. I mean, if they were just flagged, you know what I mean?
At midnight they won't be.
Okay. No, then in that case, we will adhere to the letter of the law.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll make it a little more of a reason for people to come in. It's almost enough for me to say, we'll be open for a while.
Oh.
Not all night.
Nope,
not all night, because that would never work.
Still, nope.
But, yeah.
Nope. You're going to do that, and it's going to be 12:45, and you're going to be like, this is it?
It's going to be torture. And
I want to go home, but I can't now, because I told
and...
people we'd be open to 3.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, I didn't say we'd work it. We just have a sign-up that says, please leave exact change.
Yeah.
That works all the time.
Please deposit credit card here.
If it works, we'll do it. We're always looking for ways to make comics exciting and evocative for the future to, at least keep me interested, for God's sake.
Sure.
Whatever it takes.
Hey, let's talk about a big comic book announcement this week. DC Comics announced a huge project that will be launching at the end of September.
Oh, yeah!
It is a 7-issue series that has been spinning out of some stuff that superstar writer Tom King has been doing in his Batman comic book.
Wait, Tom King, who was on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Tuesday night of this week?
I'm not sure if it's the same one, but this one is the Tom King that's been writing Batman for the last, as we speak, 48 issues.
Wow.
He is going to be doing a 7-issue series with frequent Batman collaborator Clayman, and it is spinning off some of the ideas that he's had a little bit in the background. If eagle-eyed readers,
or eagle-eared listeners,
or eagle-eared readers have been paying attention to their Batman comic books by writer Tom King, you've seen characters mention a place called Sanctuary and how it works to help superpowered people overcome some of the post-traumatic stress they might suffer from living as a superhero in the DC universe. Coming in September is a book called Heroes in Crisis, and it will feature that Sanctuary concept. And the cast to start with is going to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Harley Quinn, and Booster Gold as they investigate a murder mystery centered on Sanctuary.
It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
I had heard you throw out a number before when we weren't even talking numbers, and I went, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Because I feel like it may be a harder sell for some people.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
It's possible. I don't know what how the book is going to read. They've only shown one drawn page so far, which looked gorgeous.
Yeah, real good.
Clayman is one of my favorite artists at DC, and I think he's one of the best people working on the Batman book now. Although he won't be for a while because he's doing a 7-issue thing.
Yeah, and he appeared at Challengers like 2 years ago for C2E2, or a year ago, or whatever, 2 years, something like that.
I don't remember.
And he drew on the wall, and he was very quiet.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. I've loved Tom King's work at DC. This feels like something that fits in very well with the kind of work that he's doing on Batman, on Mr. Miracle. He had, in a press release, he mentioned kind of some of the intentions of this book and how he's using kind of what he learned working in intelligence, working in military situations and capacities to see how conflict and combat and chaos and these things affect soldiers and intelligence agents and operatives, and what that would mean for a character in the DC universe. And anyone who read the Booster Gold arc of Batman that recently wrapped up,
the wedding present,
can kind of the gift can kind of see where that story would take Booster Gold and why you'd need to examine kind of how that character comes back from those actions. So it feels like a necessary part of the DC universe, and I'm super excited about the creative team. I think 7 issues is a great length. Everything
and I'm also
about
impressed
it looks like a
they're
winner.
not like upscaling the format or change. It's regular standard price.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's $3.99.
That's great. Yeah, it would feel... The subject matter makes it feel weird to do stuff like you did on like Metal, where it's like, oh, embossed in foil, and it's like, this is about people overcoming, huge catastrophic emotional events. Like, I don't know that it's appropriate to like, it includes a packet of Prozac or something. Like, none of that feels like it's the right move for a book like that. No weird giveaways, no themed events. Like, just sell a book that's interesting, that can have a lot of weight to it. Identity Crisis is a book that has absolutely fallen out of favor in the sense of how most people approach the book or what its legacy is. But when that book was coming out, I remember it resonated with a lot of people that were not traditional DC fans. It was their way into those characters. It made them examine them in a way that maybe they hadn't thought those characters could kind of carry that weight narratively. And this feels like the kind of book where, there's a lot of fun, offbeat, over-the-top stuff. Metal was a book that was bonkers. This feels like the sort of thing that much like Mr. Miracle, could be the sort of book, not just for DC fans who want to see like a crazy murder mystery starring Batman, but something where it has something to say, and it has something to say to people that could not only reflect their lives, but also help them through things and make them understand things about themselves that could be, life-changing, that could help them get through the day. And I realize I'm putting a lot of weight on a book. I've seen literally one page of, and that page had no dialogue.
But I think you're not wrong in your expectations.
Yeah, it's a book that its mission statement, I think, is so interesting and so resonant that it's not just, oh, now Wolverine's claws heat up. Not to throw shade on somebody else. But this feels like something where it's like, oh, this is a book with a point to it. And that point is not just what new menace are the superheroes going to fight. It's like, no, this is a thing, and it's about something.
And it's really comics looking at society as a whole and being a reflection of that.
And it for someone who, kind of metagames the DC Universe, it feels like something the DC Universe would have. You'd have characters that would go through these bleak events, these world-changing crises. They're sad and they've lost people and they've faced tragedy, and then suddenly there's another story where it's like, all right, I'm putting that behind me, and it's like, that's not how the human brain works. Like, it shouldn't be how the superhuman brain works. So there needs to be something between that. We've seen, in superhero universes, night nurses and Doctors Midnight and things like that sort of explain how, healing these characters might work.
Physical healing, how their physicality can be repaired.
And there's your Star Labs and your who's the frequent Leslie Tompkins from Batman.
Yeah, Tompkins Clinic.
People build in these things where it's like there has to be this stuff. Well, mental care for these characters is maybe as important as physical care. Like, they might have healing factors or invulnerability, but when you see the birth and death of the universe, or your teammate is turned to ash in front of you, like, that's something that you need to process. And, frankly, Batman is not the person who's going to help you through that.
No.
He's not equipped to do that. Something like Sanctuary, an idea of who is responsible for this, who's helping these characters through this through the lens of the DC universe, that can handle secret identities and, strange visitors from another planet and people from other dimensions. Like, how does that all work? So, as a fan of the DC universe, I'm super interested to see what that part of the tapestry looks like.
It reminds me a little bit of the Chronicles of Fortune by Coco Picard that we have, which features the world's greatest superhero who's just usually too depressed and too melancholy to actually fight crime.
Sure.
And the subject matter is not too far apart, really.
Yeah, if you've read enough superhero comics and you try and take it seriously, there's a part where it's like, some of these characters, because of their 70 years of history taking place within about 8 to 10 fictional years, would just be nonstop tragedy.
Yeah.
Like, there was a string in there where, because of Batman's compressed history, like, Gotham City has an earthquake hit it, a plague hit it, and then be, like, exiled from the United States all within, like, a calendar year. It's insane. Like, that's biblical level tragedy.
And then it gets completely rebuilt.
Yeah. So it's like, how does that work? What does that do to your brain when those sort of events happen one after the other and it never stops because you're a superhero in a DC universe? Like, it can't stop. It's every month it's happening. You have to be going through some sort of peril. So yeah, super excited about Heroes in Crisis. It seemed like a book that would inevitably come out ever since Tom King started talking about the concept of Sanctuary, that they would do a book that would have to explain it more. And just as a retailer, I'm super excited about it. Mr. Miracle was the book we had the most subscriptions for this past week.
Yeah.
So more books like that.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Oftentimes when there's a title that's one word, or we're highlighting a specific word or phrase, and I know a song that has lyrics like that, it always goes through my head, and it's hard for me not to blurt it out.
Sure. Copyright.
This is the first time that it's been one of my songs.
Oh,
the
nice.
word Sanctuary, that as you keep saying, the way I sing Sanctuary and Take My Hand, which the video is online now, of course, but nice. It's from the Divorce Gun album, The Waning Days of the World, which not only is it available on every digital platform possible, but in actual CDs in Challengers.
It's true.
We will be
not
making
that expensive either. I gotta
we will
say.
be making, at Dal Bush's request, a limited edition vinyl pressing
that I have to buy now because I said it. What's the CD? $8?
$8, $7.99.
How long is the disc? Do you remember?
Like 32 minutes. It's 10 songs.
It's great though.
30 something minutes.
That's great.
Yeah, we try to keep it worthwhile, just in case you hate it. You didn't spend that much money on it. I mean, it's great.
I think it's a hell of a value, and I think the songs are good, and I think people should pick up a copy.
Jimmy P.S. Hayes have been listening to it nonstop and gave it a rave review.
Non-stop.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. And we appreciate you listening. So thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics. Protect the business. Wait, that's what we say, right? Is that...
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.